and I know I'm the last session here between us all and an amazing boat party, so we'll try and wrap up as much on time as we can. As Rajan said, I'm Jess Matthias. You probably know me, if you know me at all, you know me from Sabre, where I was Sustainability Director there. I'm mentioning that now because we're talking about AI, and I worked quite a bit with that at Sabre because it was just, I think, a really good example of a company that's been around a long time, is a big stalwart in the travel industry, which is really having to reinvent itself from the core because of what we're seeing in AI right now. So really pleased to be leading this session on AI. I think my panelists are all here, but first of all, can I just have a quick show of hands? Who would say in this audience that they regularly use AI in their day jobs now? Like regular use. Okay, good. That's what I thought. Nearly everybody. A slightly trickier question. Has anybody seen any jobs in the companies they work at now essentially replaced by AI? One, Roger. Okay, well that's quite encouraging, but that's kind of the theme of this panel today on AI. It's really about, is AI really becoming so much ingrained in infrastructure? Because it's clear that it's no longer just a tool. It's really infrastructure now. And a lot of people, as Rajan said, are scared that it's taking over their jobs. But really, we're going to discuss how we can use AI today without losing the human touch in travel, because essentially the human touch is what we all love about travel. So without further ado, can I welcome my panelists? First of all, I have an old friend, a former competitor, not so much anymore, Lucas Bobis, who is Chief Environmental Officer at Amadeus. Please give a round of applause. And next, please welcome Didier Brechemier, who's Senior Partner and Global Head of Transport, Logistics and Tourism at the consultancy Roland Berger. Hi, Didier. And also, can we have to the stage Audrey Breyer, who's Director of Operational Innovation at Pierre and Vacances Center Parks. And last but not least, can we please welcome Siddhartha Chatterjee, who is Chief Digital Officer at Club Med. Okay, hi everybody, welcome and thank you for joining me, and also thanks again, Well for Travel, for having me. So we're going to talk about AI. So let's get straight into it. It's clear that AI, there's a massive speed of adoption now. Just to paint that picture, the first 1 million ChatGPT users were achieved in just under 5 days when it was introduced back in late 2022. And the platform, the tool, had actually reached 100 million users in less than a few months. Just to put that into perspective, when we look at something like Facebook, those first 1 million users were achieved in a year, which was quick at the time. So this is exponentially quick. How these tools are being adopted. But now we're moving beyond that. We're moving very fast, and it's becoming part of infrastructure now. It's really sort of overhauling everything about the travel chain, from distribution through to operations, through to the guest experience. So I feel a bit bad starting with my first question, which is to Didier, because we're talking about, like I've got written down here a question talking about the next 5 years. It really feels like we should be talking about 5 months or 5 weeks even at this stage. But I want to just start with you to paint the bigger picture. Being a consultant, like what do you see, like how do you see this shaping up over the next 5 years? And tell me if that's way too big a timescale to be talking in. Where do you see AI having the most disruptive impact in travel? Let's say over the next year. Let's make it a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So maybe it's a little bit ambitious.
Yeah, ambitious.
Let's try. Is that working well? Okay, that's working better. So, yeah, so for the next 5 years, I don't know, of course, but what's happened today at Roland Berger, where we are working for some companies' transformation, acquisition, merger, etc. We have, if I may say, no projects with the AI is not a topic. Not all the time the biggest one, but we have that AI impact for what's regarding the client's evolution based on AI. And in travel and tourism, is AI will reduce, and the non-mobility at the end will be an issue. From that to how that will impact all the operations. So when you mentioned where the AI in the next years will impact companies on the travel, we are impact on the whole value chain. Of course, it's not destruction of the value chain, but that will be step by step fuels in the operations. Of course, for the airline, that's the example. On some recent projects, we could reduce 8 to 10% the fuel consumption based on AI tools to reduce the flight operations, ground operations, with the same aircraft and with the same way of working, but fueled by AI on the way that the operation could be really improved right now. Where we can see now and in the future the major evolution, of course, on the distribution and the relationship with the customers. Because right now, yes, you have some big players on the relationship, the big names, the Salesforce and so on. They are, of course, pushing some offers, but the ultra personalization, we may say that we could say it's how to help for the decision making, how to help the customers for the whole comparison when you mentioned on the previous panels, how to help and support customers to decide. That's where on the next years the impact could be really massive. Because right now it's the behaviors of the customers or the humanity to, I have a question, what I'm doing, I ask to ChatGPT. So the move from I will decide with my emotion, with some benchmark, the next destination, then that will be ChatGPT. Right now it's to validate and in the short term to push really some personalization on your next travel to you. And that is coming when the Alibaba, TikTok are moving on that direction. They have massive relationship with the customers where they really could push some new information and really to personalize what you think you want. That's at the end what will happen, and very soon. So operations, customer relationship, of course, then the pricing, the dynamic pricing. As soon as we could have some standardization of the data, that will be some massive or some move, of course, fueled by AI on the evolution and creating some value on evolution for the travel and tourism.
Okay, it's clear. Thank you, Didier. It's clear that it's really set to have a massive impact across the board in every single aspect of travel, from the core right to the outside to the guest experience. So that leads nicely onto my next question, which is for Audrey. So you're all about guest experience at Center Parcs. So can you maybe give us a little bit of an insight into how you're using AI at the moment to personalize? Because we talk a lot about personalization. We've been talking about personalization since it feels like I was born, but now AI really is making that a reality. So how are you using AI to personalize the guest experience at Center Parcs?
So just a word about the group, Pierre et Vacances Center Parcs. So it's a group with 4 brands. So Center Parcs, Pierre et Vacances, Maeva and Adagio. It's 2 billion roughly of turnover, 13,000 employees and 8 million of customers. The way we see personalization and customer relationship evolving towards personalization is the fact that we're moving from, let's say, different touch points in the customer digital journey into one single ultra-personalized conversation. And so we're not there yet, and I don't think there is anyone in the market that is today at this point, but we are definitely building and testing the building blocks actually that will make this happen in the future, to have really one conversation with the customer end-to-end from the time he searched for his travel, and then when he's on site, and then after his travel, when he wants to come back, etc., etc. And so to be more precise with some examples, we have deployed travel agents across 2 brands today, so Center Parcs and Maeva, on 2 different supports. So the first one for Center Parcs is on the website, where you have a travel agent that helps you navigate through a very rich offer. And for Maeva, currently it's on WhatsApp. And it's going to be soon also deployed on our website. We also have AI concierge deployed in Europe, so across Pierre et Vacances, Center Parcs, and Maeva, to support the guest during its stay. So again, it's a very natural conversation that the guests can have based on what they're really looking for, what are their needs, what is their history of experience with us. And to give some other examples on some more traditional, let's say, processes about marketing campaigns, we use AI today to really personalize the subject lines in the email that we send to our customers. So based on our history of data, of opening rate, what has convert, what has not convert, etc., we now personalize, and we have a much better conversion rate on our marketing campaign. And the last one that I really like, is we've created a small feature that is really fun. When you prepare your stay in Center Parcs, you can create bedside stories for your kids to, get them into the mood before they actually come to stay with us.
Oh, I love that. That's a super cute example. And I really love the fact that you're introducing AI as a concierge during the journey. I don't know about anybody else, but I was traveling with some friends a few months ago, and they now, when they're in a hotel, they just use Gemini or ChatGPT or Copilot or whichever they choose to ask questions that they would usually have asked the hotel, like what time's checkout, where can I go for breakfast, that kind of thing. So it's really good to see that you're actually building those tools yourself so that customers stay within Center Parcs, within Pierre and Vacances, rather than always going to the same external tools. So Siddharth, I just want to go to you now. You're also, Club Med is also a company that's very much involved in the guest experience and making it exceptional. So can you give me some examples of how you're using AI to enhance that whole guest experience, and also any operational efficiencies you're seeing because of AI as well?
Yeah, sure. So just before starting, I would like to emphasize that AI is a very strategic topic for us, and we are looking at it from a very strategic and core central part of our transformation. And we also believe that it's a very human topic, so we can elaborate on that later on. Yeah. Not respond to your question more regarding the guest experience. So there are multiple. So last year we put in production about 12 AI projects in production, which is about 85% of our initiatives which are actually going into production. And MIT recently claimed that only 5% of AI initiatives are going into production. So out of these initiatives, to name a few, for example, content. Content is so important because we have content all over our assets, whether it's website or the booking engine, etc. So we created a simple AI experiment which then was industrialized. We call it the Gentil Writer, which is basically a copywriting assistant. And it's a simple example of the use of AI, which was built by actually a copywriter. So not talking about jobs, then how did a non-technical person actually build an AI product which was in production? And this assistant is able to create content for our different platforms, CRM, emails, website, by respecting the brand tone of voice. So what we did is we took our entire brand tone of voice, which was about 50 pages of documentations of what we can say, we cannot say. And then through advanced prompting, an assistant was created. And today about hundreds of marketers and copywriters are using it across the world, which is now trained in different languages to create content. So it's a simple example of how we are able to standardize the messages that we are giving to our customers by using generative AI. So that's one example. Another example would be on the guest experience would be translation, okay? Language translation. Again, we are present in 40 countries, 70 premium resorts, and customers from more than 100 nationalities, right? So every market, and the content is created centrally, and then it has to be translated. So earlier, this translation was being done manually. So now we have trained AI models. Again, the personalization part is that it understands our vocabulary, and our vocabulary is quite specific at Club Med. For example, geo, a gentil organizer. So this is not a common word. Then an LLM does not understand the difference between a baby club, a mini club, and a ado club, for example. Okay, so baby and mini is the same thing. So there are hundreds and hundreds of such words which we have actually trained these models, and we are at an accuracy rate in translating about 40 languages, 75%, which means that out of 10 words which are translated by the AI, only 3 words or 2.5 words need to be changed, right? So a huge efficiency gain, again, which can touch the customer, okay? And the final example of guest experience would be, again, like Audrey, on the conversational aspect with the client-facing, which is kind of a flagship. So we were one of the first to put an AI assistant within WhatsApp at scale. So what do I mean by at scale? Means it's deployed in 12 markets within WhatsApp in multiple languages, processing about 25,000 conversations every month, and achieving 32% of end-to-end automation. That means the AI assistant is able to handle end-to-end conversations by itself with the client, right? And reducing the average wait time of having answers from 3.5 hours to only 30 minutes. But it's only answering questions on low value-added questions, such as pricing and product information. How many restaurants at Club Med, what are the timings? How many swimming pools, what kind of rooms? Where a human before would just go into a system and get that same information, now the AI handling it. And because we are in a human business, so the client always has the opportunity to talk to a human if he doesn't want to. But in our case, what we are observing is that's pretty low.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I can go on and on, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's very clear. There's just so many use cases, and it's fascinating to listen to them all. And we'll come back to some of the things you said there about human element, and it sounds to me like that maybe have the potential to replace some jobs, but we'll come back to that.
I would love to answer that.
Yeah, you will. But first, before we do, just want to go to Lucas, because sustainability is why we're all here. AI has a huge potential in that space as well. Massive potential to help with things like carbon reduction, flight planning, making that more efficient, using less fuel on that side, showing sustainability information to consumers when they book travel. The potentials there is big. So can you tell me, Lucas, if Amadeus is working on anything innovative in that front, and how you're using AI at Amadeus to help support carbon reduction, both for Amadeus and potentially customers as well?
Yeah, well, from previous panelists this morning and now in this panel and the previous one, we are seeing that the number of business cases is really big and different. So we are only beginning to understand, I think, the full use of it. I will concentrate on and explain two examples where we are using artificial intelligence that are related to operations, and that will probably resonate with the audience, because it's probably experiences that we have all almost, I think, experienced. One is related to disruption management of flights. Now this, unfortunately, from time to time, it happens. Actually, we use also artificial intelligence to minimize the occurrence of these cases, but when it does happen, then there is a situation in which it's very stress for the airline employees, for the travelers, of course, and where a lot of data needs to be managed in an optimum way in order to deliver an optimum solution. So I think by the book, it will be an ideal situation in which you will use AI. And actually, we have been doing that for some time now, so it's not a new solution, scheduled recovery. This helps the airline staff to concentrate on what really matters at that time most, which is customer service, and to be able to transform an unfortunate experience into an excellent customer service. And at the same time, as the previous panelist said from EasyJet, you are able to find a win-win-win situation, no? Because you reduce cost, and you reduce fuel, and you reduce environmental impact. No? So we really want to foster these kind of solutions, and they add a lot of value. Another use case that we are implementing as well is to help also airlines to make three, I think, of the most important decisions an airline has to make to become profitable and to serve the needs of the customers, no, of their travelers, which is to decide where to fly, when to fly, and with what type of equipment. In order to provide the best answers to these three questions, you also need to deal with a lot of data and to mix different information and more granularly to even, as I said before, to try to anticipate where disruptions are more likely to happen and how to avoid that. So we use very sophisticated algorithms to make recommendations for airlines. And again, a good choice in these three questions makes the difference between a profitable and a non-profitable airline, and also one that provides good customer service.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to do a bit of a jump back now from sustainability back to the human element. That was the other part of this panel, was really to discuss the job side of things, training the workforce, how the whole workforce is changing because of AI. So we're going to go into some examples of what we're seeing in that front. One thing I loved, I think we were chatting before about the idea of digital twins. So digital mirrors of actual people that mimic real world behavior. I'm sure you'll discuss that a little bit more, Audrey, when I ask you in a second, but I think that's fascinating, and maybe that's an example of where AI can be used to enhance skills, enhance roles, rather than replace them. But before we go into examples, I wanted to ask Didier a question. There's so much going on in the AI space on the technology front, and humans in a way fighting to keep that connection, fighting to keep jobs. So as leaders of companies, how should we be thinking, or how should leaders be thinking about investing in these areas? How should you balance investment in AI with investment in people?
So the first step with the CEOs who are working on is step back before deciding investment in people or in an AI or technology, is before to decide, because they have already invested a lot on POC proof of, and they test a lot of AI data over the last 15 years already. So they have all business cases in mind. They have tested a lot, but at the end of the day, they consider that the return on investment, except of the new business cases which just happened and shared recently, have not been a massive destruction. It's not the Kodak, when the former panelist mentioned the Kodak destruction of the business right now in tourism, but they fear a lot on the future, that's for sure. So the step back is what's first of all their vision, and we could help of the next step on their own environments, but in tourism and travel, the topic is also the data. And do I need to move alone, with partners, even with competitors, or with some data or AI providers, or a mix of all of those three solutions? And where And when you move on one direction, with a lot of investment, it's quite complex to stop because it's 10, 20, 100 million investment if you really want to transform a sizable company. So the first step is, what's your vision at this step and how you will be able to move on other direction? So partnership, cooperation should be defined before. And then you could think how I will invest, and on some cases, how I could have the people and the investment on the people. So what we can see is, first of all, of course, when the old tests are, as over decades, we have some new IT system with no change management, no people really trained at the right level to really secure the people on the next step with that new tools. Because of course, that will on some business reduce the number of people, and for sure will change the way the people will really deliver the services or their job and responsibilities. And right now, the must on what we can see impacted is the middle management. Mm-hmm. So a lot should be done regarding training, regarding involvement in the definition. So what is a mixed? Is it 50-50, 20-80? That doesn't matter if you have really planned, defined, and involved first step in our industry, the middle management. Okay, thank you. That makes sense. And you mentioned training. That was one of the topics we were going to cover today. A lot of what's happening, like there's so much change that really companies need to be looking at how to equip the staff that they do have to be able to handle some of these new tools and make the most of them. So I just wanted to ask you, Lucas, from your perspective, particularly when it comes to the environmental side, the new environmental insights we can glean thanks to AI. What kind of new skills do you think the tourism workforce needs to take on, interpret, and act on to get up to grips with what's happening?
Yeah, well, I think the point of departure, I believe, is to be aware that suddenly employees are equipped with a very powerful tool that was not present before. So it is very important to understand what is the potential of these tools based on AI solutions, and what are also their limitations, no? And that involves a lot of training, so that the tools can be used to their full potential, no? If I can mention one example, one of the things we expect from artificial intelligence very soon is, as it was actually pointed out also before, the capacity to predict much more accurately the impact of a trip and the possibilities that this gives to the traveler to make choices, informed and clear choices, no? About not only what are the CO2 emissions, but also what specific impacts are expected and how can we avoid overcrowded destinations, as it was pointed out earlier, no? So things that where the staff can really engage customers in making sustainable choices. But again, training in this is fundamental. Internally, we are using also to train our software developers with our Green IT initiatives, and in collaboration also with other companies in the Green Software Foundation, for example, to improve the writing of code so that when the applications are run, the environmental impact is minimized and the solutions that they deliver are optimized as well. So the opportunities are quite encouraging.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And sorry, I'm getting warning on the timing because I think we need time to get ready for the boat party. But I really want to speak a little more to Audrey and Sid about this topic as well. So Audrey, could you give an example of where you're seeing AI actually really empowering employees rather than replacing them? And what kind of training and reskilling are you giving to your employees that you found effective?
So I think to react to what you said, the whole management team of Pierre et Vacances Center Park, so both the ExCom and the board, put really a great emphasis on the training of the employees. And we had the strong conviction since the very beginning that we will properly and successfully manage this transformation and get some opportunities out of it if we get the most people possible on board. And so we invested a lot over the last 2 years on training. To answer to your question, I think what really works, it's two things. It's to allow people to use it. But I mean, behind that, there is a lot of things. It means creating reassurance that it's not going to replace them. So it comes from the management. It comes from also us as leaders using it extensively and showing that it's okay, that it is what we need them to do, and that we want them to use it for them to run faster. And I like this image. I tell people in the group, stop running with flip-flops. You know, yeah. I mean, you have the opportunity to get the shoes that you need to be more performant. So, yeah, use them. And the second thing is that you cannot train the workforce on Gen AI the same way that we used to train them on any other tools. And on this specific point, what is key is the conversation. And I'm making the link also with what I said before about the customer and the customer relationship. We have trained more than 1,000 people, and we have also created pioneer clubs with more advanced users, so roughly 200. And for these pioneers users, so we train them on advanced functionalities of ChatGPT. And for 6 to 9 months, we have met with small groups every week, just to share about how each of them were actually using the tool. And it created, just the fact that we're talking about it in a dedicated instance, it really increased the usage itself, creativity on use cases. And so now we are deploying these pioneer clubs in a much larger scale, and we intend to recreate clubs for more than 500 people in our companies, really function per function, so that people can talk about it. And in the management teams, now it's really a ritual to talk about the usage. And to come back to the twin, the digital twin, one usage that emerged quite recently, actually, it was like 3 or 4 months ago, is really to create a twin for people that has a lot of knowledge about something, and that usually you call because you need an information, you see, and the information, they are the one who have it. Anyway, some of the people created their digital twins, and now you can do many, many things with them. And when you give access to the rest of the organization, to your own twin, it's exponential, the value that you can get. And expanding that, you can also create, and we are doing it since July, Gen AI board members, so agents that are actually XCOM or board members, and that you involve in the decision making, in the brainstorming, in the different meetings that you have to do.
Okay, thanks, Audrey. And Sid, should Club Med employees be worried? Are the tools that you mentioned going to replace jobs?
I think everybody is worried to a certain extent, because as it's mentioned by my fellow panelists, that this is a powerful technology, and this technology has the potential to automate before robotics comes, because robotics is again a different topic. It's still too early. All knowledge work, you know, when I talk about knowledge work, it's all kinds of work that involves planning. It requires coordination, communication, okay? So what is clear is that this technology is going in a direction where it will automate knowledge work. So what the way we are looking at it is, we are taking every domain within the company and we are trying to project. We spoke about, you asked about 2030. So we looked at, for example, a study by McKinsey, which made a study about what is the potential of automation of the finance function, of the sales function, of the HR function, etc. Right? So that's something that we are taking into account. And at the same time, we have our growth objectives, sustainability objectives, right? So that allows us to kind of project in the future and see that for this kind of margin, this kind of business growth, what is the right amounts of staffing and the skills. So how are we going to move to this transition, right? Because if we don't do anything today, in 2030, we'll still be having the same situation, and AI would not have had any effect automatically. The main point is that AI, first and foremost, and Audrey mentioned it, is a leadership posture, right? So we have to start projecting and be strategic about it. Second is provide AI training to all. We call it AI for all, and we have a training program in place with ambassadors, in order to ensure that 100% of employees, they have certain level of knowledge and training in AI or in data. The third strategic pillar is that we want to move the company from a job-based to a skill-based organization, right? So we are not only looking at reskilling in AI, but again, a study by World Economic Forum says that in 2030, the skill sets which will be the most important will actually be soft skills, such as empathy, resilience, critical thinking, creativity, So AI skills, but also understanding what skill sets will be important in 2030, and do our employees, they have that skill sets. And the final point is process automation, because the way the companies are run today, all the business processes, in 5 to 10 years, companies will no longer operate in the same way, because those processes were built for a technology which is slowly getting obsolete, right? So for that reason, we have created a new role in the company called the process designers. And these process designers all over the company in different functions, so we're starting with a batch of 25, are experts of their own process, transversal processes, whether sales, whether finance, whether marketing, who are going to map their own processes, end-to-end processes, find out the pain points, and then propose themselves as how to create efficiency and automate these processes, so that in 2030, we are able to transition to this business model, where the operating model of the company is AI first, employees have the right hard skills, they have the right soft skills, and we are able to deliver on our objectives.
Okay, thank you, Sid. And I am being told to wrap up. So can we just very quickly, from the panelists, just get your opinion in one word or one sentence. What is the most uniquely human skill in travel that you think just will never be replaced by AI, no matter how advanced we get? I'll go from one side to the other. So we'll start with you, Lucas.
Okay, my reflection is that travel, the concept of travel as such, is distinctively human. I think we agree on that. Artificial intelligence doesn't travel. So we need to use AI to work strongly and hard in managing those aspects of travel that may become an issue, so that we can focus ourselves on the experience of travel, of enriching the experience of travel, and the human aspect of traveling. I mean, I like very much the comment yesterday from Assis saying that travelers can make travel something for good, by being ambassadors. So we need to facilitate that travelers become ambassadors.
Okay, thank you. And Didier?
So maybe what we have to think about is, yes, it's for human, but before the human or supporting the human, we need the data, we need cooperation, we need agility within the whole value chain and all the partners. And back to AI, that should be not, is it machine or human, but is it machine for human? with emotion, and maybe AI could be augmented intuition on the business we have to deliver.
Okay, perfect. Audrey?
I would like to say empathy, but I think that the more Gen AI will develop, the more models will be empathic, so I'm not sure. But I think in the relationship with a real human, you can be surprised. And I'm not sure we'll ever train models to surprise customers, you see. So I think when it comes to unicity of the relation, human will come first for sure.
Okay, and Sid?
I'll say something which is not so much linked with AI, but I think the skill set which is so important today will remain very important in the future, and that's a bit of the theme of this conference also, is resilience. Whether AI or not AI, this industry is seeing constantly disruptions, whether geopolitical or technological. So I think if we remain resilient and we continue to build our resilience, no matter what, we will win.
Perfect, thank you. Can I have a round of applause for my panelists, please? Thank you. And also a round of applause for the show. It's been a brilliant day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess, and thank you, panel. And a round of applause to you. This turnout is excellent for this time. Very good.